Hello and welcome to the Squirrel Heat YouTube channel, and this is the preview for Liverpool versus Huddersfield. Now, Liverpool aren't in the very best of form at all. In fact, we're in a very negative place, I believe. The fan base is in a negative place. The team is most likely going to be in a negative place depending on what happens when we play against Huddersfield. Now, Huddersfield are coming off a hell of a victory, delivering Man United their very first loss of the season. A 2-1 victory that they got over Man United, and it was one of those games, like, Man United just didn't seem to want to get out the blocks, which will be a difference that Liverpool will do. We will actually go and try and attack Huddersfield. The problem that we've got is that our defence is absolutely shocking. It is probably one of the worst defences I've ever seen Liverpool have. And this is back when I used to think that Skirtle was a terrible defender. Skirtle is like, I don't even know. Skirtle is like, he's the best defender in the world compared to what we're dealing with right now. And I'm not slagging off all of our defenders. Joel Matip, I think, is a good defender who could be a great defender, but he hasn't got greatness around him, or at least next to him, which is where Dejan Lovren. And I'm not going to speak about Dejan Lovren too much because I think he's been getting slated a lot online, and deservedly so in some respects, but there have been people that have been sending really derogatory things to Dejan Lovren. I think he's deleted all of his social media now and he doesn't actually interact at all. Used to be on Instagram and everything like that as well. I think that people have been taking it way too far. Yes, the guy has not been performing. He's been performing pretty terrible. But nobody on earth deserves to be able to be delivered that amount of abuse that he has had levelled at him. Yes, he's been performing poorly, but you don't... I think there's even been rumours of people sending him death threats. Get real, guys. Seriously. Get real. As much as I've slated Lovren since the start of the season, when he's not really been performing since the start of the season, let's be honest, he's not been performing for a long time. I'm never going to turn around and send the guy death threats or hate messages or anything like that. I don't interact. I don't like go and message players and stuff like that or anything like that sort of stuff when they perform badly. It means that generally it's not just that player that's performed badly either. He may have been the standout bad performer, but at the end of the day, he wasn't on the pitch when we conceded the other 2 goals as well. Now, our precedent had probably been set by the point that we lost 4-1 against Tottenham, and don't get me wrong, that Tottenham side was not the Tottenham side that faced West Ham. West Ham fans out there that might even check this video out. I'm telling you now, because that was a completely different animal, where you have Harry Kane absolutely on form as one of the best strikers in the world right now, in world football. He is literally one of the best. He's on form. He's scoring goals while falling over. Says it all. He can score goals like when he's nice and upright and he's getting good runs on defences and stuff like that. Brilliant. But he's also scoring goals when he's being battled to the floor. He's just picking them out left, right and centre. And that is the difference that Tottenham had there. Also the fact that they were just generally a more solid team. They had much more belief than we did. They've got threats all over the park that were actually doing so much better than we were in all respects. The only player that I didn't dig out, or I won't dig out, is Mohamed Salah, because he tried his arse off to try and get us a result, or to get us back in that game. And when it went 2-1, you kind of got a little bit of belief. It just didn't work out, and we played terribly. Now that is something that we have to get rid of for the Huddersfield game, and that is, as I said, there is going to be a difference between us and Man United playing against Huddersfield, that we will go and attack Huddersfield. They will probably try and do the same that they did against Manchester United, and they didn't necessarily, they weren't just sitting back off Man United and letting them have possession, not necessarily. They were very, very clever with the balls that they put up front, and Manchester United having to make a defensive change early on, bringing that Victor Lindelof, I think his name is, who turns out to be a little bit like Lovren. Now, depending on who we start at the weekend, they could do pretty similar, because that over the whole team through ball over the top that they fired over for their, I think it was either their first or second goal against United, that could easily happen against Liverpool. Does anybody remember the game after Claudio Ranieri got sacked last year and we played Leicester and we got beat 3-1? Our defence was an absolute shambles. All they did was they fired the ball long up to Jamie Vardy, and it worked. They scored 3 goals that night. We got 1 back through Coutinho. It can happen. And if we go with the same sort of lineup that we had against Tottenham, it probably will happen again. It can't happen And the reason why it can't happen, and I'm praying, I am absolutely praying, that Jurgen Klopp actually just goes, enough is enough. And doesn't necessarily turn around and say, I'm sick of you, and you. But hopefully he turns around and says, look, I have got to change things. I'm going to bring these guys in, and the guys I'm going to go through right now are the people I want to see start at the weekend. Because I think that they'll make a difference, not just because they're different players, they haven't played a great deal, they'll have a slight bit of hunger there as well, but they'll be more hungry by the fact that they can grab this opportunity by the scruff of the neck and maybe take that place off the other player that has already been in front of them, maybe undeservedly as well in front of that player as well. Now, I'm going to start at goalkeeper. I'm not even going to go Mignolet. I'm not even going to go Karius. I want to see Danny Ward start against the club that he helped get into the Premier League last season, and they wanted him back on either on loan or as a permanent transfer, and Jurgen Klopp said no. He wanted to stay here because he's got good quality and I've got plans for him. So far, his plans have consisted of using him in the Carabao Cup for one game, and I've not really, I might have missed another game that he may have played, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. I just don't think he's played that much at all. I do think that is the one competitive game that he's played for Liverpool, and he needs more. He deserves more, in my opinion. I thought he had a good display against Leicester in the Carabao Cup. It just wasn't the greatest defence in front of him, and with a better, fuller squad of the first team players as well around him, he could perform better as well. He's a young lad. He could be the actual future, and we've got to start looking to the future now. If we start getting these younger guys in, who's to say that they won't perform? They at least deserve a chance, in my opinion. I would go with Danny Ward, and this is purely going to be my lineup prediction. I'm not going to go with what I think Jurgen Klopp is going to pick, and I certainly hope he doesn't pick the same sort of team he did against Tottenham, because I will probably be raging a little bit if he does that. Anyway, going into the defence, I think you've got to go with Andy Robertson. Not because Moreno's done anything particularly bad, but I just think that confidence could be knocked after that Tottenham game, and I think just settling him out... Oh, there goes a bottle. Never mind. I think just settling him out of the team for a little bit could actually be beneficial for him. I just think that Andrew Robertson actually deserves a chance in the team. He's not had many, and when he's played, he's not really made any mistakes. That is my opinion. What do you think of that one? In defence, I think you're still going to go with Joel Matip. It's either that or you go with Ragnar Klavan. Either or, I think I would want to go with Joel Matip. He's the most solid of our defenders that we've got right now. The one who can play with the coolest head, good passes, and can see attacks happening and can break them up when we're playing well. It's when we're not playing well is that he doesn't, and he needs a strong partner next to him. Now that strong partner for me, in my opinion, will be Joe Gomez. Why? Because Joe Gomez wants to play as a centre-back long term, and it's the right decision right now. Lovren is going to be... I just think, after everything that he's going through with all his social media posts and everything like that, that he, people leveling stuff at him left, right and centre, I just think it's the right decision to take him out of the team completely, take him out of the firing line, because if something happens against Huddersfield, they can't turn around and say, that's Lovren's fault. And we do. I say it all the time. It's Lovren's fault. He doesn't have very good games. Joe Gomez is a young lad who does perform, and he's been playing mainly at right back, which he can play quite well. But I firmly believe that he should be in centre back, because I want Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, purely because he seems like the much more natural right back out of him and Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez does a good job. It seems like, for me, the future of that role is for Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's been brilliant in the Champions League games that he's played. I just think it's made for him. I think he's not just going to be a good defensive player down on the right hand side. He's a good creative player as well, and if he gets up the pitch, he can also provide chances, and that's what we want as well. That's what we've not really seen enough of from Klein. I do miss Klein though, because he is defensively much more solid than all of them at the moment with that experience that he's got, but we don't know when we're getting him back. So we're going to move on into the midfield. Now for this one, it's difficult, because Gini Wijnaldum is going to be coming back. He's back, he's fitness, so he's back for selection. It's who do we go with? Now, in my opinion, we're coming up against Huddersfield, and I still think that we need to change a couple of things up here. I want to go with Marco Grujic. I would put Wijnaldum back in there, and perhaps, I don't know. Who do we go with? Because then you're left with, who did I even say? Wijnaldum, Grujic. Alright, so then you've got a selection between Chan, Henderson, and Milner. Now, in my opinion, I've got to go with Emre Can. I'm taking out basically the captain and vice captain of our team. So I don't actually know who would be the captain on the day. Look, in reality, I think Henderson will make it on the pitch, and I just don't think that's the right decision right now. It's just how I feel at the moment. I think you've got to go with a little bit more grit, fight and drive, and I think you'll get that from Marco Grujic definitely, who, odds on, will most likely get a yellow card. It's definitely going to happen. Marco Grujic, I just think he's a young lad. He's going to perform. He can perform at quite a high level, and he's also got a 35-yard plus shot in him. I'm a fan of that. You need to have one of those in you, just in case it's not working for you. Wham one in from well out the box. You never know what can happen. Emre Can, he's a very good player as well, and Gini Wijnaldum can play very well as well. It's just if it's on his day or not, I don't know. But I think that could work. And then you've got three midfielders there that aren't too similar to each other, and they're not going to clash with how they play as well. Whereas if you play like Henderson and Can, they're a little bit too similar, and I think Chan's just that little bit better. I don't know, and he's got youth on his side as well. Now moving forward, obviously you can probably tell I'm moving this as if we're doing a 4-3-3. You've got to go with Coutinho and Salah, in my opinion. I think you do have to go with Coutinho and Salah. There's no reason why any of our players should have any sort of fatigue. It just shouldn't happen because we haven't had a game midweek because we weren't in the Carabao Cup. We got knocked out the last time. So we've had a full week of preparation for this one. So in my opinion, they should be fully rested. They should be ready and raring to go. Coutinho and Salah right now are probably our best players that we can put in that front line. And that's who I would go with. Now up front, I'm sacking off Firmino and Sturridge. Not because they're not good players. It's because it's not happening for them right now. It's not. People might turn around and say, oh, take Firmino off. No, don't start him and start Sturridge. No, because the only reason for that is I genuinely think that Sturridge is done. He's done at... Look, I've said it before. This isn't the first time I've said it. I just think that Sturridge is done at this... Not at this level. He's done at Liverpool doing it because it's not working for him. He starts, he doesn't score goals. He might provide you have a little bit of tricky footwork here and there and a bit of a burst of pace, and then nothing happens. And then he comes on as a sub and he's not even scoring then. And he might even provide a couple of different chances there. I prefer Sturridge coming on as a sub. I think Firmino needs a bit of time out at the moment. And if we're coming up against Huddersfield, I would like to see Dominic Solanke getting his chance up front. Why? Because I've said it so many times before, I'm just going to be repeating myself. He's a tall lad, big lad, knows how to use his head, use his chest, use his body, use his physical frame, use his feet. He's got good feet, technique, he's got a good turn of pace, a good turn, he's got good technique, good feet, header. He can do pretty much everything. He just needs a chance in the Liverpool team to do it. Anybody that turns around and says, oh, he's such a young guy, he couldn't do it at Chelsea. He didn't want to do it at Chelsea. He wanted to do it with us. That's why he came to us in the first place. We've got to give this 20-year-old player of the World Cup for his age bracket in the England under-20s winning World Cup team. You don't get that by not being a good player. You really don't. Otherwise, people that are raving about Ryan Brewster at the moment for the under-17s, what are you going to say if he starts up front for Liverpool at one point? Whoa, hey, he's only done it with the under-17s. Does anyone remember Michael Owen back in the day? Yes, before he became a bit of a Judas and he went and, a full-on Judas and went and signed for Man United and all that crap. Ignore all that. Michael Owen, when he came to us, what was he like? He was a young lad, very young lad, and he banged goals in for fun. You've got the same sort of prospect with these guys here with Solanke and Brewster whenever he finishes up the World Cup. I think they're playing on Saturday. So they're playing final against Spain on Saturday. And I'll try and watch that as well. We've got to start looking and doing, we've got to do something different. We have to do something different. Go on with the old, we're not starting Firmino, so we'll start Sturridge. We're not starting Sturridge, so we'll go Firmino. Why? Because then it makes me look around and say, right, we're not going to start Solanke, we're not even going to give him some minutes off the bench. Why did we let Origi go? Why did we let Origi go to Wolfsburg and not give him a chance? I would much prefer that Origi had stayed with us, the 21-year-old who's still got loads of time to develop, and Sturridge goes somewhere. Because Sturridge's time is done. His injuries have taken too much toll on him, in my opinion. His pace is pretty much gone. It's not there. And his shooting, he makes rash decisions. He tries to come drop deep and create chances for other people. It doesn't work, in my opinion. I think it's done. I think you've got to go with Solanke if you want to cause some trouble to the Huddersfield defence. They're going to be stubborn. They're going to be settled very, 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 very well by David Wagner. I think that David, Wagner, anyway. They're going to be settled very well by him. They're a team that's just come off beating one of the most informed teams in the Premier League. Regardless of what you think of how Mourinho sets his teams up to play games, and I don't like the way he plays games, they've been winning the majority of them. I think they're still second in the table right now. We're ninth. So, I mean, they must be doing something right. But Huddersfield came and they gave them their first loss. We can't afford to lose this game. Otherwise, the pressure on Klopp will be unbelievable. It really, really will be. Now, score prediction-wise, we can win it if we do some changes, if we make some serious changes to this team. If we go with a similar sort of team that we did against Tottenham, I am afraid that we will lose. I genuinely am. I fear that we will lose. If we make some changes, some positive changes, give some of these guys a chance that are going to help drive us forward, yeah, I think we can get the victory in this one. Score prediction, I'm not necessarily going to do a score prediction because it's totally, it's totally unpredictable how we'll score and how many we'll score if we score. But I think we can win. But we need to make these positive changes, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I've ranted quite a lot about some stuff here. I didn't really know how long it was taking, and it's 16 minutes or so right now. So sorry that it's a longer preview, but I needed to get all of these thoughts off my chest, just about what I thought about team selection. So let me know what you think about all of what I've said in this video in the comments below, if you please. If you can like the video, that would be excellent if you can do that. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you ever so much for watching, as always, and I'll catch you later. Couldn't get my words out then. I'll catch you later.